Welcome to Smart Route, the podcast by CallTrackingMetrics, where you'll hear stories from businesses at the intersection of marketing, customer experience, and sales. We're sitting down with business leaders and industry experts to dive deep into the path they took to find success. Here are your hosts, Brandon Jordan and Peter Bacon.
Thank you, everybody, for joining CallTrackingMetrics Smart Route podcast. We are venturing into episode 29 of How Marketing, Sales, and Leadership can win with LinkedIn. And our guest today is Liam Darmody. He's an expert in all things LinkedIn and here to share some of his knowledge on that. A little background, Liam and I have worked together twice in the past. First time was at Revolution Health, and this was in the mid-2000s. And again with Living Social, beginning, 2010-ish, something like that. And in addition to Liam and I working together, we also had the pleasure of working with the co-founder of CallTrackingMetrics, Todd Fisher. So the three of us have actually worked together. Well, the three of us have worked together in two separate occasions. And now I'm super happy to have Liam as our guest here on the podcast today to share all of his knowledge on all things that are LinkedIn. So on that, Liam, thank you for joining us. Give us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. It's so funny how things always come full circle, and the network that you build, even in the earliest stages of your career, can last as you grow. So that's one of the reasons that I love LinkedIn, is because it is just like one gigantic networking event. It's 24/7, 365, and people I think underestimate how much potential there is on that platform to build a new network, even from people that you've never worked with before. So I'm Liam Darmody. I am the founder of Liam's Grandstand, which is a consultancy that helps founders and leaders build personal brands on LinkedIn that help to attract clients, talent, and opportunity. That's kind of the quick and dirty sort of pitch of what I do. I started the business about 3 months ago. I have been posting on LinkedIn for about 4 years now, really intentionally, and have just had a tremendous amount of opportunity present itself as a direct result of me being a little bit more comfortable with sharing who I am on that platform. And, now it's sort of known as a personal brand, which some people like the term, some people despise the term, but whatever you want to call it, showing up on that platform can really translate to a lot of opportunity. And so, if you're doing it and you're consistent about it and you show who you are, I think good things will inevitably happen. And so it's been great. I've been doing it for 3 months now. And it's new and it's different, but it's my passion. So it's been really fun.
Nice. And that's beautiful, because that's cool. Was the next question was the elevator pitch, and you just jumped right in there. So that's awesome. Thank you very much for doing that. And also would like to highlight that LinkedIn as a communication tool like that is what really kept you and I in touch, Liam, over the years. Because every once in a while, like every 6 months, 8 months, 9 months or so, it's like, hey, how you doing? Just a little note to say, hey, how are you? And we've kept that relationship going ever since, and I'm happy about that.
Me as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love to see things come full circle, especially working in sales. It's really great to see those relationships, continue to build, using a tool like LinkedIn. With that being said, Liam, what's something that you wish you knew before you really started posting frequently? I know you've been using the tool for a while, but what's one or two things that you wish you knew before?
Like before I started posting on a regular basis?
Yeah, before you started frequently, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think I wish I started doing it sooner, and even more consistently. My journey on LinkedIn has been a little bit different than I think it's what I typically sometimes recommend to my clients, because I viewed LinkedIn more as a sort of a journal that I would share with family, friends, and colleagues. So I would talk about whatever was on my mind, right? So, I typically will tell people you should have, 3 content categories that you pull from. And, every post that you put out should somehow fall into one of those 3 buckets. I was kind of all over the place. So my network grew in all sorts of different ways and resulted in having all sorts of different people following me, which is not a bad thing necessarily. But what's really powerful about LinkedIn is that you know the titles of people that are on the platform and what their specialty is and what their interests are, and that's unique because you can't really get that on other social platforms, right?
Yeah.
So that gives you the opportunity to really kind of niche down and start talking about your craft and really getting uh, targeted with your messaging and finding people on the platform who will really resonate with what you're putting out there and engage with it and interact with it. And then that sort of creates this flywheel effect of reciprocity. And so they start posting, you start posting, they're commenting on your posts and vice versa. Um, so that's what I would have probably done differently is I would have sort of decided like, what do I want to be focused on from a messaging standpoint, and really hone in on that. I'm doing it now, obviously, because
Yeah.
I'm helping people do LinkedIn personal branding, so that's primarily what I talk about. But to that end, I'm sort of building a new network of people that are interested in that now. Whereas if I had started talking about, for example, just sales in general or marketing 4 years ago, I would probably have a much more targeted audience to post to.
Okay. That's awesome. So sounds like, for those listening, don't hesitate, right? You said you wish you would have started sooner. And then
Hmm.
you wish, one of the things is maybe focus on the messaging, right? Understand what message it is that you're trying to get out. So that's awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think the other thing I would say is just don't worry about letting your true personality come through. I think a lot of people have a stigma about posting on LinkedIn because they think, oh, well, I have to be an expert in order to post there. Or,
that's right.
what if my boss sees it? And it's like, what if your boss does see it? Like, does your boss dislike you? Like, does your boss not want you sharing the information that you have and coming across as a knowledgeable professional? I think it depends on the company that you're in, but by and large, people are hired because they have skills and they have personality that mesh well with the business that they're being hired by. And so, if you can bring that personality to your office and you can bring it to your teammates and your clients and your customers, then LinkedIn is just sort of an extension of that, right? And it creates even more opportunity because if you put yourself out there, future clients could potentially find you, right? And that could manifest into opportunity for the business. So I think that's one of the other things is like people don't know what to say. They're like, I don't even know what I'd write about. It's like, write about any one of the 60,000 thoughts in your head that
Right.
day that are not going to offend somebody and relatively
Yeah,
professional
yeah,
oriented. And, that's a great starting point.
Nice.
it's awesome.
So in most instances, like a company or organization's social media is going to be owned by the marketing team. How and when or
Yep.
where would you start to involve other departments?
Well, so I mean, I think my view on marketing is that it's everybody's job, right? I think you're working at an organization. Um, Presumably, you like working at that organization, and you would recommend it to people. And there's things about working there that you would feel like sharing. And so, I think everybody should feel somewhat comfortable sharing content about their organization specifically. But I think it also depends on kind of what the definition of marketing is, right? You don't necessarily need to have your employees going out there constantly beating a drum and posting press releases about your company and the latest results and the latest business journal article, et cetera, because that isn't really what their LinkedIn audience necessarily wants, right? And it's good to have that in there every once in a while, but what really is powerful is when you let your employees and you empower your employees to talk about what they're passionate about on the LinkedIn platform, build a following and have conversations with people who are interested in the same things. And then they start to sort of say, okay, well, this person's really interesting. I like their content. Where do they work? Oh, they work at CallTrackingMetrics. Cool. Well, maybe I'll check out their open jobs.
Absolutely.
Or maybe they're a company that would be able to help us with something, right? So that's what marketing looks like. I think now it's beyond just the marketing department. Now, obviously, like your company page on LinkedIn is probably managed by your marketing team. And larger organizations are probably a lot more focused on the messaging that goes out from their employees. They have to be because there's a lot more risk at a larger organization. But by and large, if you can empower your employees to leverage their networks to build their thought leadership brand, they will attract people to your brand through osmosis.
I like that.
Yeah.
So I think basically to answer the question, I think every department, if there's somebody in the department that is comfortable posting content on LinkedIn, let them, as long as they're not like bashing your competitors or clients or saying things that are inflammatory, like, yeah, you should
I like that.
encourage
It
it.
seems to be a way too that you could probably discover hidden talents about somebody you might not have known before.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And another thing that's interesting is that at larger companies that I was at, where, there were companies, there were employees in different offices. There were employees who I've met through LinkedIn that worked at my company in a different city
Wow.
because they saw my content, right? And so like we would never have worked on the same project. We would never have been in the same room for any reason, right? Software engineers that are building mobile applications, like I wasn't working with those folks, but they saw my content, and then we would start conversations, and then I started getting them posting on LinkedIn about software engineering, and they were kind of geeking out about that. And so there's just a tremendous amount of connective potential on the platform that you would never really know until you start putting stuff out there.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So everybody use LinkedIn, everybody connect, right? Every department. I like it. I know me
Yeah.
personally, right? Coming from a sales perspective again, when I'm working with prospective clients, I like to connect, via LinkedIn, either prior to, our product demo, after the demo, just to kind of, add that extra connection. What are some of the concerns that you might hear from leadership or HR, and really like how do you address those concerns while still following a strategy that works?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the number one question that people probably get or are nervous about is, oh, so and so is being more active on LinkedIn. They must be looking for a job,
Right.
which is totally a logical assumption because LinkedIn is a job platform for the most part. Most people view it that way. It's evolving into more of a content platform, but it's still a long ways away from being widely known as a content platform. Um, and I think that, look, when I talk to employers about encouraging employees to post, it's not the content that's going to get them recruited away, right? Like people have LinkedIn profiles and recruiters are very good at their jobs. So if you have talented people working in your organization, recruiters are contacting them all the time anyways. It doesn't matter if they're putting out content. Um, what matters is, are you creating a culture at your company that is keeping them there when those recruiters are calling for something else, right? That's the question that needs to be answered. Companies that feel confident in their culture are probably more likely to encourage their employees to share content on the platform. I think it also requires a bit of a different mindset for employers because the days of working at a company for 30 years are over, right? People just don't do that really anymore. And so you have a very short window of time, or not very short, but like the average employee stays at a company for like 3.5 years or something like that. So you have a 3.5 year, 4 year window with that employee where, you will pay them for the work that they do and they will do that work. And you can either encourage them to help you market the business and build their personal brand and their thought leadership and see if new opportunity comes your way because of that, or you're able to make an easier time recruiting people because of that, or you can choose not to. And I think choosing not to sort of closes more doors than you really know could be opened if you were just a little bit more open-minded to it. So that's kind of the thing that I hear the most. I think the other thing, obviously, the larger the company, the more risk there is. There's more employees. There's more people that maybe don't know what they can and cannot say. If people are working at, large companies that have thousands of clients, and the people that are posting don't know who the clients are, and they say something about one of those brands, like that could be problematic. But I think that's where you have resources that you can put into place that creates a program where it's like, these are the things that we encourage. These are the things that we really want to make sure we shy away from. We encourage our employees to talk about what they do and how they do it and why they're passionate about what they do, and why they like working here, et cetera, like be themselves on social media, on LinkedIn. But these are the things these are the sort of boundaries that we want to set, right? And if you put those programs in place, then at least you're having a dialogue about it. I think that's the other observation that I have. A lot of leadership teams would love for their teams to start posting more on LinkedIn, but they don't want to ask their teams to do it because they say this is their LinkedIn profile. It doesn't belong to us. So we don't want to ask them to post on our behalf. And then on the flip side, you've got employees who are like, well, maybe I would love to post on LinkedIn, but I don't know if my executive team would be cool with it. So I'm just not going to do it. And they're not actually necessarily like talking about it at all. So that's why having a program in place and having somebody that can facilitate sort of making both sides of that conversation feel comfortable is a valuable thing. So I think employer branding is still very nascent and will become more and more popular and more prominent across companies. But right now, it's still, I think, pretty early.
That's cool. So like maybe having some sort of social media guidelines or social media meetings amongst within your company. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, or even like coming up with like, a content calendar where you say, these are the topics that we would love to talk about this week. We're not telling you what to say or how to address it, but we would love it if you would post about this type of thing and share your perspective. Use hashtags that are relevant to the company itself. You can start internal Slack groups where people can drop the links to posts that they've put out on LinkedIn so other people can go and support it. You can really do a lot. There are some companies out there doing some really innovative things, and they're all over LinkedIn. And that is good for business.
Yeah, that's great. Shout out to Frances Miller. She runs our social media club here at CTM, and she does an amazing job. So yeah, we are very familiar with that, and
Nice.
It's something that we practice what we preach here at CTM.
Nice. That's great.
Kind of an aside, with LinkedIn, I've just started to dive into it a lot more, probably in the last year, because I've just kind of kept it off to the side, didn't need it, didn't care about it. But as I'm seeing a lot of other social media platforms, implode or just go awry with their content, LinkedIn seems to be tried and true. It seems you're going to get real, honest to goodness content in there, not a bunch of hot air that you might find in other social media platforms. So I've started gravitating to it a lot more.
Nice.
So anyway, so kind of along those lines, how much time do you think would you recommend an individual might spend in LinkedIn in order to start seeing results? And would that matter if it's someone in an entry-level job or someone up in the C-suite? How much time do you think should be dedicated to see any results?
It's a great question. There's not a sort of one and done answer. I think it depends on what your objectives are and what you want to get out of it. I would say, if you're posting something 3 times a week, maybe, right? 2 or 3 times a week, you're engaging the people that are commenting on your content. You're commenting on their content if they're creating content. Spending some time just finding new people on the platform to follow or connect with that are within sort of whether it's your ideal customer profile or ideal client profile, or you're trying to just find people that are interested in the same things as you topic wise. 30 minutes a day is an investment that's not really that much. I mean, you can burn through 30 minutes on TikTok or Instagram in no time, right? I mean, 30 minutes is 30 minutes, but it goes by pretty quick, right? And that's a lot of cat videos and whatever else you're watching on there. And you're not necessarily, to Peter's point, you're not necessarily seeing that on LinkedIn as often. There's still certainly people that post that stuff, but the idea that LinkedIn is a content platform, they're trying to make it so that it's the professional social network. And that means you're going to get value from the content that you're seeing some way professionally, right? So, posting thought leadership posts, engaging with people who are doing the same. It's a good use of 30 minutes. And I mean, LinkedIn, the problem is that I think people are so accustomed to hearing that social media is like a quick fix on the dopamine side of things, and people are putting, you put out a TikTok and it's like that TikTok could reach thousands of people because for no apparent reason. It's just like, it's there, right? LinkedIn is a little bit less focused on the virality of things. They're more focused on the value that you're delivering and the conversations that you're having. So they expect you to spend more time on the platform in order to get the results that you might otherwise see somewhere else a little bit faster, because the idea is that you're building a network and you're strengthening that network by creating that content. So that is kind of the benchmark, I would say, is, if you can find 30 minutes to do stuff on the platform every day, that's time well spent. Make sure that you're adding new people to your network. You can add up to 150 people to your network on a monthly basis, or monthly or weekly. It's one of the two. And so, tapping out of that is a good thing to do. And that takes time. So I'd say 30 minutes a day.
It's cool. So 30 minutes a day. And then you said 150 people a week, correct?
Yeah, let me find out how
Okay.
many LinkedIn.
Good old Google. And while you're
100
deploying that,
100 invitations per week, I think,
oh,
is
nice. Okay.
the limit.
Yeah, great.
So if you're adding 20 people a day,
Yeah.
you're slowly but surely getting up there. And
Building that
if
network.
you're using Sales Navigator, you can see who's posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. That's a filter within Sales Navigator. So you can make sure that the people that you are connecting with are actually posting on the platform, which is also beneficial, because then there's that reciprocity component.
Awesome. So you talked about cat videos on TikTok earlier, right? And different social media. In this age of information, right? Everybody pulls in inspiration when it comes to content. With LinkedIn specifically, like where can teams get inspiration, for content? You said it's a professional network, right? Like where do you pull inspiration from?
Inspiration can come from anywhere. I think
Right.
from my number one sort of recommendation, once people have set up a profile that is really strong on LinkedIn, I have a saying. I say, follow your fascination and fill your feed. And that means find people who are posting about things that you're passionate about. It could be marketing, it could be, any industry that you're in, and follow them so that their content comes into your feed, and then you get inspiration from that. I'm the kind of person that doesn't prepare my content in advance. I sort of post it on the fly. And some mornings you wake up and it's like, I don't have anything to really write about. So just scroll a little bit and it's like, oh, actually I wouldn't mind, talking about that. I have a thought or two there. Oftentimes, like, I'll leave a comment on somebody's post and that comment ends up becoming inspiration for a post in and of itself. It's just, things that are going through your mind as you're scrolling through other people's content. Obviously, in an age of ChatGPT and AI bots, you can go into ChatGPT and query, I want you to act as an expert product marketing manager for X industry. Here are, 3 target, customer profiles that I'm looking to create content for on LinkedIn. Give me 50 recommendations for content ideas. And then it spits out all sorts of ideas, right? And so, we are living in a time where I don't think writer's block is even possible anymore. You just have to go out and query some things and you get inspiration. So those are my 2 sort of recommendations is follow people who are posting content that you like, and you will find inspiration. Engage with those people. You might inspire yourself to post something. And then, use the other resources that you have at hand, right? Like ChatGPT to recommend some things.
It's interesting when you talk about,
This
about
is the third time. Sorry.
the 30 minutes that you should spend on LinkedIn, approximately 30 minutes. As soon as you said that, it's like, wow, I got to switch it from 5 minutes on LinkedIn and 25 minutes of cat videos on Instagram. I got to flip those two.
Yeah, and that's honestly, that's what I tell people. It's like, you're consuming content on other social media platforms, but you're not building relationship and connection with people. And that's where the power of LinkedIn is. You are investing time there and you're consuming content and you're having conversations, but that in and of itself is an investment in your network. And you know what they say, right? Your network is your net worth. And so I view time on LinkedIn not as a waste of time. I view it as an investment of time. And that's different than any other social platform for me.
All right. Well, that kind of brings us to the end of our time together, Liam. We always like to end these things, but
I know.
what would you like to plug? What do you want the world to know?
Well, I want the world to know that it is the world is evolving, and people are getting more comfortable sharing their voice and talking about what they know and what they like and what they're passionate about. Personal and professional is blending more than ever before, and as a result of that, it's important to know that your personality and your personal brand are as much a part of your professional success as anything else. So it's important to know that if you share that, you will create more opportunity for yourself. I always say that LinkedIn is not a social media network. LinkedIn is a serendipity manifestation network, which is a cheesy phrase and it's a mouthful, but I believe it wholeheartedly. And if you decide to start sharing content on the platform, you will be able to manifest serendipity and create opportunity for yourself that you wouldn't otherwise get. And that's why personal branding is so important. And that's why I started a business to help leaders and founders do that. So if anybody listening is interested in taking your LinkedIn game to the next level and you want to build a personal brand, I'm here. You can find me on the platform. I live there. And I'd be happy to help.
Who should they look for on LinkedIn to find you?
Liam Darmody or Liam's Brand Stand.
Perfect. All right.
Awesome.
Anything else? Is there anything else, Brandon, you want to throw in here? Liam, anything else you want to include?
I know
No,
I'm good. We always talk about food at the end, right? We always want to know.
Oh, nice.
Favorite food and where do you get it from? Cook it at home, restaurant.
My favorite food is sushi.
Hey,
hands down. I love sushi. My favorite sushi place is called Tono Sushi in Woodley Park in DC.
Okay.
I haven't had it in 2.5 years, and I miss it, and I'm like salivating thinking about it. And I can't get sushi that good. I mean, there's just not as many options down here in North Carolina where I am. And Indian food would probably be a close second, and maybe Thai food a third. And hot sauce. I'm a big hot sauce
Huge
guy.
hot. I remember that's from quite a while.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So like all of those things right there are hot sauces. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Did I show them to you already?
All right, let's see what we got.
No. Oh man,
look
at that.
This is my hot sauce rack.
Damn.
And
I love it.
I've got 5 of them in here, and I got 3 other ones in the house somewhere. My wife is not happy with me about it, but she lets me do it.
That's awesome. Well, I just tried a new hot sauce. It's called Truff hot sauce.
Oh yeah, that's great. I keep that stuff in the fridge.
Good. It's so good. Yeah, it's
put them on chicken nuggets. Put them on chicken nuggets.
I have.
Okay, cool.
I have. Yeah.
Truff nuggets are the best.
Oh, I love it.
Man, I'm telling
you. And your kids won't like them. I don't know if you have kids, but my kids don't like truffle. So you cover chicken nuggets in truff, and they're going to be like, no.
That's a winner.
That's awesome. But yeah, we always end with just talking about a little bit of food.
I love that.
Me and Peter's heart. So yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
It's been a pleasure, man. Definitely appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining us. That's it for episode 29. And we look forward to connecting in the future.
Awesome, man. Yeah, happy to do it. Thank you for giving me the chance. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
it's
man.
awesome.